Sports aren't just games, they're an industry. Behind every touchdown, every dunk, every highlight, there's a multi-billion-dollar machine that's constantly shifting, growing, and evolving. At the epicenter of it all is Sports Business Journal.
Hundreds of millions, if not billions, being spent.
Providing the news, the networking, and the data that the most powerful executives in sports business need to move the game forward.
Representation is a word I like to really use.
Yep.
For the first time, we're giving you a VIP look at the industry that never sleeps. Join me, Tariq El-Bashir, as we break down the biggest changes in sports alongside the biggest names in the game.
A lot of people are scared of losing. I'm not.
On this episode, futuristic venue builds are skyrocketing, including here in DC.
The ball is rolling.
The future of fandom has arrived.
Thank you, robots.
Plus, a look inside one of the most successful sports business families of all time.
It's worth $11 billion.
This is Sports Business Journal, inside the industry.
We're hearing a lot about all of these amazing new buildings that are going up.
2/3 of our arenas are actually going through some type of a renovation, or teams are in the process of building new ones.
Arthur's going to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into a 7-year-old stadium.
The electrification of the stadium to be the first one of its kind in New York City and the first one in MLS is really how we set this stadium apart.
It's clearly an exciting time in the industry.
Welcome to Sports Business Journal, Inside the Industry. I'm your host, Tariq El-Bashir, and today we're going behind the scenes of arena innovation, the transformation that's turning stadiums into futuristic destinations and elevating the fan experience one seat at a time. Joining me in studio are Sports Business Journal publisher Abe Madkour, Sports Business Journal senior writer Joe Lemire, and Monumental Sports and Entertainment's president of venues, Jordan Silberman. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Great to be here.
It's not every day you get to be part of a debut of a series. Abe, what are we doing here?
Well, Sports Business Journal has been out in the forefront covering the business of sports since the mid-90s. In addition to publishing news and information every day, we put on about 17 industry conferences throughout the year on sports media, sports marketing, college sports business, but also facility development. So all these interesting topics that are out there where we're talking to industry leaders about the trends and the insights that they're seeing. And we're super excited to partner with Monumental Sports Entertainment on a show that we think viewers will really get behind the scenes in the sports business.
Abe, you'll be running shotgun with me on most episodes, and we'll have a rotating cast of guests like Joe and Jordan. All right, let's start with you, Abe. Why are team owners and municipalities lining up to spend hundreds of millions of dollars and sometimes billions of dollars on these new arenas?
Well, you said it right. We are seeing a building boom across sports. The reason is quite simple. These are seen as real economic drivers in communities.
Sports remains that best connective tissue we have in society today. People want to get together. People want to have these social experiences. I think if we went and polled everyone here, we're going to remember that first sporting event we went to. For me, it was a baseball game at Fenway Park. I'm sure everyone has stories remembering those vivid details, and that remains a huge part of sports.
Jordan, it's about to be a very exciting time here in DC. Work is about to begin on the renovation of Capital One Arena. At the end of the day, what are you hoping to see?
Yeah, I think it's a transformed experience for our fans. It was built in a different era where fans weren't going through security. It was the premium experience wasn't what it is today, and we're really going to have to reset the facility to meet today's standards and make sure our fans are getting the experience that they deserve at each game.
And he makes a great point in that going to a sports event years ago in the 70s and 80s, it wasn't that much fun in terms of the building was substandard. The food and beverage was very substandard.
I stood in line a lot.
You stood in line a lot. The seats were uncomfortable. There's very little premium and hospitality areas. And so we're trying to, as an industry, really enhance the experience, to your point, through innovation.
Well, speaking of cutting-edge innovation, the Clippers' new home, Intuit Dome, opened this past summer. Let's take a look inside the highly anticipated $2.1 billion basketball mecca.
So modern, futuristic, unlike any other building I've ever been in.
I'll just say we want this to be the penultimate basketball experience on the planet.
Steve Ballmer wanted to build a basketball mecca, and there you see her in all her beauty.
As good as it gets, the pinnacle, the peak.
We want the tight, intimate atmosphere. To us, it means home court advantage. It means cheering for the team. It means being in your seat and being loud.
I don't care where you're sitting, you really feel connected to folks.
The goal is very fan-centric. We don't want you waiting in line. Every one of our food and beverage, retail, club locations is all frictionless technology. So you identify yourself, you walk in, you grab what you want, and you leave.
What would have taken someone over a minute from when they actually get to a counter down to 17 seconds.
Nobody's ever tried to do a scoreboard with this shape inside an arena.
Inside the bowl, we've got this Halo board, so double-sided 4K, 1 acre's worth of lights. It's a beast.
1 acre of scoreboard, about 5 times any other arena in the league. 1,160 toilets and urinals. We do not want people waiting in line. We want them to get back to their damn seats. The real goal is to have fans go, wow, that was a live experience like none other.
Joe, you attended the first ever Clippers game at Intuit Dome. Did it live up to the hype?
It absolutely did. I had the pleasure of attending that first preseason home game. I think the experience has probably even gotten richer. A lot of what Intuit Dome has done well is simply making sure seats are closer to the court than they used to be. They have the wall, 51 rows of continuous seats to provide a home court advantage.
Kevin Durant said that was really intimidating.
Right? Steve Ballmer, he wants fans to watch a basketball game like he watches a basketball game, meaning he's in his seat and he's going nuts the entire time. Oftentimes now we see fans grazing from one premium club to another premium club, one social area to another social area. Some people don't even watch 1 second of a game, but he wants people in the bowl and he wants a home court advantage. As we sit here and tape this show, the team is one of the best teams at home in the NBA. So maybe that's working, but that's the risk.
Jordan.
You know, I think it's the playbook now for new venues and a lot of what we're going to try to model in our building.
Curious, what are the challenges of not starting from scratch? Like the building's already here. It's 27 years old.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we are in a good spot. There's not much remediation work that has to happen to make our building, you know, successful. So it is a challenge. It's going to be tough. We're going to be doing it over the course of 3 summers. As soon as the Caps win the Stanley Cup and the Wizards win the NBA championship, we will start our work, and we're going to finish up each window right when the preseason starts.
Speaking of summer months, I mean, does a deep playoff run potentially push things back?
Of course it does.
Are you worried about that?
It's the law of events. Like when you need the time, you don't get the time. You know, the last time we did a major renovation at Cap One is the year that the Caps won the Stanley Cup final in 2018. The night of the Cup, you know, we started ripping out the building in the seats that night. So like it's just the way things go.
They want a deep run.
Yes.
Trust me.
Good problem to have. It's a good problem to have.
Of course.
Well, so much more to unpack here. When we return, we'll take a closer look at facial recognition and frictionless technology. Plus, big plans are in store for Capital One Arena in DC. And later, we're keeping up with the Joneses. We'll be right back.
The fan of the future wants blank when it comes to their live event experience.
They want more connection.
They want to escape.
Bespoke experiences that are going to be customized for themselves.
Oh, that's a good pour. Thank you, robot.
We've got an equipment manager's closet converted to a speakeasy.
Line avoidance technology.
You walk in, you grab what you want, and you leave.
With Wicket, we've turned a 30-minute line to some fans into probably a 1-second wait.
Wicket is a facial authentication company that is operating all across North America today. With all 30 NFL stadiums, fans are looking for that tech-rich experience. They want to reduce friction, and biometrics has proven to be a safe and accurate way to allow a fan to walk through an experience. And your face is one of the best ways to do it because everybody has one and you can't leave it at home.
For many fans, it's magic, and they throw their arms up and they're celebrating, and they look at the traditional mobile ticket line and they're like, yep, I'm in and you're not. So it really makes them feel like a VIP person.
You walked up. I'm literally in 2 seconds.
Abe, in the clip we just watched, you asked this question. I'm going to ask it again. What does the fan of the future want?
Well, besides their team winning, I think they want something easy. They want it safe, obviously, good food and beverage, but to me, it's about ease of the experience.
Joe, frictionless is a huge part of it. There are some technologies that allow for security to practically fade into the background. And all you have to do is take a picture. I mean, it's remarkably seamless. You take a selfie, which some people do more than others, and then it's saved in your account, and you really do just kind of walk on through.
What if I want a ticket stub? I used to collect ticket stubs.
Yeah, that's a relic of the past.
But there are companies that will allow teams to still do ticket stubs because of just that.
Jordan, give me a little bit more about what you guys are going to do with facial recognition and frictionless entry at Capital One Arena.
Yeah, I think a goal of ours is to really have a street-to-seat experience where you can get people in the building through security, through ticketing, to concessions into their seat in less than a few minutes. I think it's also not just about throughput and just sheer getting people in and out, it's about customer experience.
And Intuit Dome has perhaps the best case scenario of what's becoming possible. There's a company called Misapplied Sciences that's created what they describe as parallel reality.
Come over here, it scans my face, and then when I look up, it welcomes me.
And what they've been able to figure out is how to beam pixels very precisely so that when I walk up, it recognizes my face and it says, "Welcome to Intuit Dome, Joe." And Abe might have the same experience. He's 2 feet apart and his message says, "Welcome, Abe." But over time, they're going to be able to say, "Oh, we know your ticket and your account is on the 2nd floor. Take the next escalator up."
I know in talking to my friends who are sports fans, one thing that's always on their mind is, man, it's getting expensive. Is that something that you think is part of the thought process as you guys go through this?
Yeah, obviously costs go up for operating these buildings, but a lot of what we're doing is using technology to drive operational costs down so that we can lower ticket prices and make it more affordable.
So I had the pleasure of sitting down with Ted Leonsis, the man behind the plan. Let's take a look. Ted, thanks so much for joining me today. I think as most people know, MSE and the district signed a term sheet agreement for the renovation and modernization of Capital One Arena. How excited are you to finally get the ball rolling on this project?
Well, the ball is rolling. It's a massive investment by both the city and Monumental Sports. We will put in over $800 million. We've recently invested $200 million already. So if you think about it, $1 billion will have been spent on an existing building. I don't want it to look like a rehabilitated building. I want it to look like a new building. If we have a $1 billion, shining, beautiful, modern, hip, new business and space, all the businesses will flourish. And, pardon our dust is going to be what we have. And
anyone who has seen the renovated Madison Square Garden understands that there has to be some dust to redo an entire building, right?
Yeah, and I'll be frank, ours is going to be better than Madison Square Garden, and we're going to redesign a lot of things in the main bowl.
Mm-hmm. And you've already done some of this, so you're going to be redoing it and even upgrading the upgrades.
You have to. We're a small city. It's 700,000 people, right? And we're competing with LA and New York. They spend a lot of money.
The most.
If you want to compete for championships, you've got to have scale. You've got to have the means to do that, right? We've always been innovators. We should be able to win championships and be competitive with big markets. We should be able to build the best buildings. And there's going to be twists and turns. We're grown-ups, we understand. It'll be worth the wait.
Ted, thank you so much for your time.
Okay,
appreciate it as always. So guys, the thing I'm most excited about is that all-glass facade. I mean, something tells me we're going to see that lighting up the cityscape as we fly like Reagan National.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? It's meant to be a true envelope that fully engulfs the entire facade of the building. Right now, it really looks like a government building, and the time in which the building was built in the late 90s, that was kind of, the design style. And now it's supposed to be big, bold, and be a beacon of like the redevelopment of this area. What really excites me about the project is, not just the exterior and it looking new. This is a chance for us to really get in there and fix how people flow on the concourses, how they get their concessions, how they get from level to level, how they get through security. So we'll really get to redo this entire project.
So Jordan, I hear that one of the first areas of the building that's going to be transformed is the downstairs locker room area. And you know, in my other job, I talk about recruiting players, and I feel like the contract is the first selling point for a player, right? They want the biggest contract. But if there's a tiebreaker involved, sometimes it's, how is that locker room? How is that weight room?
Yeah.
How are those facilities? They spend so much time here, the players.
Yeah, it's a great point, and it's not just for the home players; it's the away players too. So as we, plan our renovations, we're making a concerted effort to really improve the away facilities as well for visiting
Don't
MHO.
make it too nice, though.
Hey, if they're treating the away team this well, think about how they must be treating the home guys. So I think the Caps do a great job of it here in Boston, and we're about to embark on our own journey for the Wizards on creating a new facility that really can meet the moment with this huge boom for facilities, and it's not just arenas, it's practice facilities too.
And it's worth noting that a lot of the WNBA teams and NWSL teams are starting to get their own facilities as well. That's becoming a big part.
So it can be an important tiebreaker.
Absolutely.
All right, fellas, we've got to take a break, but before we do, I want to test our knowledge with something I like to call the Money Minute. Today's question is, what are the top 3 most expensive venue builds to date? Any guesses?
SoFi would have to be up there, I would think.
Mercedes-Benz, perhaps.
I think Wembley might be up there for
If we're wrong, we shouldn't be on the show, right?
Well, stick around for the top 3 reveal, plus a look inside one of the biggest stars in NFL ownership today. Okay, the big reveal. Which 3 sporting venues come with the biggest price tag? Coming in at number 3 with a cost of $2 billion is Intuit Dome, home of the LA Clippers. At number 2 with a price tag of $2.3 billion is the one and only Yankee Stadium. And at number 1 is the shared home of the Los Angeles Chargers and the Los Angeles Rams, SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, costing a whopping $5.95 billion. Why does it cost 3 times as much as everything else?
I'm interested in your thoughts, but the scale and the scope of SoFi Stadium and Hollywood Park, so everything's more expensive there. And Stan Kroenke, the owner, had a huge vision, and price was no issue.
But it's paid off too. They've hosted, the Super Bowl. They've had Taylor Swift concerts. They've had WWE events. It's.
They have a lot of World Cup events coming up soon as well. But yeah, to your point, I think the location of it, the size, scale, accommodating 2 teams plus all these other events, that all adds in.
Well, we're also taping this at a time when that region's facing unbelievable devastation, and we certainly hope that they can get through this because we're all thinking of that community.
Speaking of expensive venues, the Dallas Cowboys recently started a $300 million renovation on their $1.15 billion AT&T Stadium. Not to mention the Star, their $1.5 billion headquarters and practice facility. And Abe, you actually held your most recent Access Drive conference at the Star with the entire Jones family in attendance.
Yeah, Access Drive conference is our conference around sports venues, franchise operations, ticketing, but the energy around the event was great because we had the Jones family, we had Jerry Jones come in on a helicopter, and everybody was over the top excited to hear from him because he still is one of the most, if not the most, charismatic owner in the NFL and a family that everybody talks about.
Honored to have a very special guest with us tonight.
And I would say he wrote the book when it comes to sports business. The owner, the president, and the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys. Give it up for Jerry Jones.
Jerry is the biggest thinker I'll ever be around. He has super high expectations for all of us in the business.
For all team owners, they kind of look at him and what he's done as that's where everybody wants to get to. How do we actually get to that point?
I had made a lick in the oil and gas business, $12 million. That's how much cash I had. That said, I paid $154 million for the Dallas Cowboys.
People thought he'd lost mind and he paid what he paid for the team.
My little ass was really at risk here, and I was going to have to bust it to get it done. I knew that, but I thought I'd done something.
And now it's worth $11 billion.
Where did it start when he called you to say, I'm going to buy this team and I need your help?
I was actually working in our oil and gas business, and he goes, "You're not going to believe this. The Dallas Cowboys are for sale." And I go, "So what?"
I think what most people don't realize is at the time, the Dallas Cowboys were losing $75,000 a day, over $1 million a month.
He goes, "I think I want to take a look."
My first thought was, you're crazy.
He just knew he'd figure out how to make it work.
We ended up not winning but one game the first year that I was involved with the Cowboys. One game. What I will tell you is, for me, the times that have actually been the most rewarding was when I went against the wind, against the prevailing thought of how things were going to go.
So the star, which we're all sitting here and everybody's getting to see what it represents, but when this first started back in 2013, he wanted no part of it. And Charlotte and Steve and I, boy, did we want part of it, because it was what he had taught us. And we sat there, the three of us, and said, this is everything we're about.
When we started, he basically said, okay, y'all go do it, but you get no money. Empty pocket.
By the end of it, though, he was upgrading everything.
Now he loves all of it.
Look what we have. It's become the model for all other teams to follow. So
Invested in the star than we did the stadium.
Absolutely. Now, as we have finished it and completed it, and you look at it, you say, boy, of course it worked. But boy, when it hadn't been done before, you don't know.
I want you to know that beyond any thought I could have ever had about how exciting your life could be, the challenges, what we've been able to do in sports, and how we've been creative, and how we have evolved to engage people, it has unbelievably been bigger than anything that I've ever imagined.
So, Abe, the first two things that jump out to me are the bro hug and the helicopter.
Everybody's looking out. They thought it was a scene from Succession. We really thought it was Logan Roy coming in, but it was Jerry Jones. Everybody was looking at it, but Jerry's a very warm person.
Well, guys, we've seen so much in these past 30 minutes. Jordan, tell me, what's next?
Thinking about robotics and how do we get more efficient in our operations of these facilities, be able to have multiple games in a day and get things done in a much quicker time span.
And at the other end, it can also just be an experience, a showpiece, a robot bartender serving me a drink at the baseball all-star game.
That really happened?
That really happened. It was working hours. I got the mocktail.
Okay, good. And we've talked a lot about projects. There's some amazing projects that the viewers should keep an eye on. The Chicago Bears are trying to get a state-of-the-art, really transformative building in downtown Chicago. And finally, a building I'm keeping an eye on is the new Nissan Stadium in Nashville, which is north of $2 billion. They want Super Bowls, they want Final Fours, and as we all know, Nashville is an incredible growth marketplace.
Joe, I think he's going to be looking at your expense report from that trip here pretty soon.
Count on it.
Well, guys, so much to look out for on the horizon. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Sports Business Journal, Inside the Industry.